It's pretty hard to follow something like that. I don't know if I agree with it at all. You know, just have to think of all the guys out here that you're going to meet in just a few minutes. There've got to be professors of mine who have gone on to that university in the sky who just woke up. And they kind of went, who did they say? That can't possibly be true. But of course, it's because of them that I do stand here, and we'll talk about that very quickly in just a few minutes. I really want to thank the Alumni Association, the college, and welcome to the president as he moves on. And Jean Scott, my president, is back there. She came here at the same time that I served my first year on the board. She left after 10 years, and these guys coerced me into staying for another 5, so I did the 15-year thing. But I have to tell you, I got so much back from this college during those times that it's just hard to express it. I can literally go across some of the folks that I see Gene Arbuckle back here and Debbie Lazard. There's a number, Ross Linhart sitting in here. I can go to each section here, and because I've been around a while, I know somebody in every one of those sections, which is pretty nice too. But I want to talk really quickly about something that Reggie said. Where are you? So when I realized that Reggie was going to be one of the award winners and he was going to be before everyone else, I just cut everything I had to say in half. I tell you, but every time he does open the 7-Eleven, you really want to go in and buy something. I'll tell you that. And what he said about haircuts is true. I mean, I ran through that whole thing years before he came here. There's another way, Reg. Instead of looking for the one barber that could cut African-American hair, you could just slowly lose it. You don't have to worry much about it then. And I think, Ross and I were talking about this at some point in the past. It could be that I was the first African-American to be inducted into Alpha Sigma Phi. He's still looking that up. And that's not just at the college, but that's nationally. So if that's true, well, I was kind of born that way. So. But if that's true, I would probably guarantee that Ross Linhart probably had a lot to do with that I don't even know about today. So I'm just going to say thank you for that. And there's some others like Rick Hazelton around that I know did some things that I never heard about also. So I really think that there are people who make a difference no matter what they do or say. So I'm going to tell you a quick story, if that's okay. I went to high school in Washington, D.C., Theodore Roosevelt High School, and my wife knows this story, and there she's gorgeous sitting over there. And in D.C., if anyone who's lived in or around D.C. for a while will know that that's pretty much an African-American town. I mean, you have to literally go into Virginia or Maryland to start seeing the majority race there. So when I left high school, I was familiar with those who looked like me, and I came to Marietta, and there were like 3 others who looked like me. So it was just really very different. So you would think, well, you know, gosh, guys like that and Reg probably had a tough time. Well, I'm going to tell you, the toughest time I had was in high school. So I'm a senior, and I've done fairly well at some things, quite frankly. And I get called to the assistant principal's office in the last year of high school, or last month of the last year of high school. And the assistant principal, his name was Mr. Boyd. I can't remember his first name. I choose not to. He brought me in after a lot of different things that had happened on a very positive note. And he said, Randy, I just want to tell you something. You are never going to be a leader. And it took me by total surprise because that was totally opposite to things that had been happening in my life. I don't know why he said that, but he said that. And though I had evidence that looked a little different than that, you believe it, at least for a while. So particularly for the young guys out there and gals, when somebody says something like that, ignore it. Ignore it. Never give up, never give in, and ignore it. Move forward with what you know you can do. So after that really thrilling time in the assistant principal's office, I came to Marietta College. Two things, I'll tell you three. Three things happened that completely turned me around, because when I first got here, I was still under some of that cloud, to be honest. I didn't realize it, but I was. The first thing is that my mother wrote me a note, and I kept it for years and years, and Lynn and I keep searching for it, but I can't find the thing. But it was one of the most encouraging things that had ever happened in my life. So that was number one. Number two, there was a professor by the name of Paul Seiler here at the time. Biology, there's probably a Paul Seiler or two person out here. From someone who told me I couldn't make it at all, to Paul Seiler, who found me down in Harmon one night. I don't even know how this is on a payphone. The payphone rings, somebody picks it up, and I was in Harmon. I was at the bar. I didn't drink a lot, but I was in there anyway, because that's where everybody else was. And he said, "Hey, Randy, Dr. Seiler wants to talk to you." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, so I took the phone. He says, "Where are you?" I told him. He says, "What are you doing down there?" I said, "I'm having a good time." And he said, "Well, you know you've got an exam in the morning in qualitative analysis." It's not even his. So I said, "Yeah, how'd you know that?" He says, "Well, I know everything about you." And I thought, this is going to be bad. He says, "You need to get back and study, and you need to be in there the next day, because we need you to make something out of your life." And I said, whoa, there's a totally opposite thing. So I did. And I did pretty well on that exam, quite frankly. And then the second thing that happened, which was very similar to Dr. Seiler's reaching out into the town to find an individual, me, was another biology professor by the name of Dave Young. Dave Young, this guy, he was biology personified. I took histology from him, the study of tissue and stuff like that. He was looking into the microscope one day, and we were all doing the same thing, pretending like we knew what we were doing. He kind of did. And all of a sudden he looked up and he said to the whole class, he says, "I want you all to see something." And so we all went over to his microscope, and he said, "Look in there, you see those cells?" And we did. He said, "Those are cancer cells." And I said, "Whoa, that's the first time I've ever seen those." And then he said, "Those are my cancer cells." So he had just that moment discovered, by preparing us for class, that he had an incurable cancer. And instead of stepping inside, which I think I probably would have done, and just kind of figuring out how to get through that, he involved the class in continuing to learn as he was beginning to actually leave us. That was Marietta College to me. There's one other piece that my big brother from Alpha Sigma Phi, I tell you, the guys that got Alpha Sigma Phi back on campus, congratulations. I think the administration did the right thing when they let it go for some of the things that were going on. But we're back, and we're back strong. Anyway, Harold Ruth was my big brother. So once again, I'm getting a little into this defeatist thing because I had to take math. Yeah, I had to take math. Now, I like math, but this was analytics, geometry, and calculus. And those of you who were around at that time will know that one of the math professors was a professor who worked with Einstein developing the theory of relativity. So I kind of thought, this is really going to be interesting. Harold Ruth knew math with his eyes closed. He was my big brother, and he was also my roommate. He took the time to get me started. I kind of did okay once we got started. But that old defeatist thing said, you're not going to be able to do this. This is really tough stuff. It was Harold Ruth in a building that still exists over on 6th Street who sat down with me and said, I know you can do it because we can do it. So those comments you just heard about some passion and being around Marietta, and honey, why we give to Marietta is because I'm here because of people like that. People who established, moved forward, and continue to grow this institution like none other that I know. So it's with a great deal of pride that I thank everyone for that. This honor is well beyond anything that I deserve, I can tell you that too. I'm really happy that my wife was able to come Anytime she's around, I'm at my best. My lawyer, who's a dear, dear friend, and also a very good lawyer. I travel with a lawyer, that's right, yes. Everywhere I go. It's like a spare tire, you know, he's there for everything. He's right there. David Haffey, and then this is an educational institution. Every time Jean used to open her mouth, intelligence came out. It still happens. We were talking at the hotel this morning. Debbie Haffey, my lawyer's wife, Dr. Haffey, is exactly like that. There have been many times, Debbie, that I have wished that I could have been a student while you were still actively teaching, because I used to watch her with her students, and it was just as you described. She was just like that with her students. So there are a lot of kids out there that are doing really well because of what you did for them. So for all of you who came, thank you so much. For the college, for the association, thank you. It's a pleasure. I never would have, it's like a lightning strike.